Part 3 of Equip focuses on the essential unity of our beliefs and the behavior or works that result from our faith. The Bible was written almost exclusively by people from Israel, and in the Hebrew mind, faith without the right kind of works is not real faith. Faith and works are two sides of the same truth that cannot be separated. Faith in God is essential for salvation. Without faith in God, we cannot know or please God. But the New Testament letter of James makes it clear that faith without the right kind of works is dead and useless. Look at James chapter 2, verse 14. What use is it, my brethren, if someone says he has faith, but he has no works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is without clothing or in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, be warmed, and be filled," and yet do not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that? Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself. And if you jump down to verse 24, here's what it says. You see that a man is justified by works and not by faith alone. We do not receive salvation by works, but there's no salvation without the right kind of works. In the New Testament parable of the Good Samaritan, Jesus chooses a Samaritan man in his inspired story to teach a Jewish religious lawyer. The Jewish man asked Jesus a question about finding the way to eternal life, and Jesus used a Samaritan man, the man with the wrong beliefs, to instruct him. After telling him about the compassionate actions of the Samaritan man towards the wounded traveler and the two religious people who ignored him, Jesus said, look in Luke chapter 10, verse 36, Jesus said, "Which of these three do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell into the robber's hands?" And he said, "The man who showed mercy towards him." Then Jesus said to him, "Go and do the same." He didn't say go and believe the same. He said, go and do the same. In Matthew chapter 25, we find three of Jesus' teachings about the return of the Lord and eternal judgment. In the parable of the wise and foolish virgins, the young women all believed the same things, and the wise ones just made better decisions. They went into the wedding supper while the others were excluded. In the parable of the three servants with the talents, the master rewards the first two and punishes the third. Reward and punishment were based on the actions and the decisions, not the beliefs of those three servants. To the two servants who did the right things in the eyes of their master, he says in Matthew 25, verse 23, the master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful slave. You are faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master." Finally, in Matthew chapter 25, there's the parable of the sheep and goat nations. Their reward, again, is based on action. Which ones served the poor and the weak and the needy members of their own society? In Hebrews chapter 11, the great faith chapter of the New Testament, most of the heroes of faith mentioned in this chapter are mentioned because of what they did and not about their doctrines. Today, we all understand that as believers, we are part of the bride of Christ that is being prepared for the wedding supper of the Lamb. Revelation chapter 19 is about that marriage supper, and it's said that the Lord's bride has made herself ready. Here's what Revelation chapter 19 says about the bride. Revelation 19, verse 8, "It was granted her to clothe herself with fine linen, bright and pure, for the fine linen is the righteous acts of the saints." This part of Equip explains that works do not mean only religious works or simply humanitarian aid, that is, charitable works. Your good works originate in the heart of God. They are part of His unique plan for you and for your life and calling. Here's what it says in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for calamity, to give you a future and a hope." How can we find God's personal plan for our lives and accomplish the good works that are in that plan? The actions, decisions, words, and behavior that are in God's perfect plan for each of us are the good works that complete our salvation. These actions bring a smile to God's face and the words we are all looking forward to hearing when we see Him again, "Well done, good and faithful servant."